Alrighty, guys. So these are going to be the trade recaps for April 27th, 2023. Um, these are trade recaps because, or I really want to focus on the trade recaps today because I did take a loss today on Disney. I didn't full size any trade today, but I did take a loss on Disney, a short on Disney. It was a very stupid trade, and I just want you guys to understand how stupid it really was. And yeah, so I woke up late today. I got Eli, what time did I wake up today? Fucking like 9:50.
Uh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you like showered at like 10, right? As a
Yeah,
news,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
just like yeah.
Yeah, so I missed the very early morning session. I didn't really know if but there was news at 10 o'clock. I think it was like pending home sales, whatever. So I waited till 10 o'clock to take a trade. My first trade that I spotted out was it was first of all it was AMD. So I grabbed the 84 put. That was at 1020. I did go about like 13% green on these. I didn't scale because I thought we had further downside, but I did react quickly to buyers stepping up on this name as well as the market gaining strength because today was a big trend day to the upside. So I grabbed the 84 put on AMD at 10:20 a.m. If we go over to AMD, we're gonna see this had extreme relative weakness in comparison to QQQ, right? So chips did, AMD did, everything did, right? So here was QQQ going, and this kind of sketched me out because chips were relatively weak, right? So what I did was I got a retrace back into like right here at previous low of day. Uh, oh, that's a 15 minute. 5 minutes. So I took it at yeah 10:20. So if we go to the 10:20 candle, I took right here off this test VWAP, right? So we did make a move from 85.05 to 84.78. I did go like 12% green, 13% green. I noticed the volume got really low under VWAP and under 85, so I knew there wasn't much seller interest under this level, right? If there was going to be more seller interest, and one thing that you guys really have to understand about trading is it's not necessarily if you're right or you're wrong, right? Because you can't just predict where a stock goes every single time, right? You need to have tight risk. Oh, sorry, voice crack. You need to have tight risk, and you need to have a key level in which there's multiple confluences off of. You need in this case scenario, I thought for a minute that we were going to fill this imbalance. We made a move down. We're getting a low volume retrace back into the level. We're going to fill the imbalance, and then we're going to see further downside, right? That wasn't the case because chips were kind of like the last name and the last sector of tech pending on a pending like waiting to get a catch a bid, right? So here was 10:30, here was 10:20, or no, this is the 15. Here was 10:20 right here. So we had a high volume shooting star, and then we had a low volume red candle print, right? And it was a healthy spread to the downside, but it was extremely low volume. And one thing that I would really like to touch on with extremely low volume candles to the downside is there's absolutely zero sign to stay into your puts, and you probably want to exit then because this is essentially either gonna make a nice move down to here, and why would you get greedy when your risk to reward is a risk all the way up to here and holding past this and catching a big impulsive move like this, or you just retrace down to here and this is the furthest you're probably going to get because of how low that volume is, right? And then I'd be eyeing up a long setup. So I was like, okay, I'm probably fucked on this AMD. Luckily what happened was it broke down, it retested, the retest was on low volume, but I didn't see any sellers step into this. This is a very low time frame, so you should be seeing sellers step into this. My trades need to be respected immediately. Once I saw sellers try to step in here, it was on the lowest volume I've ever seen, right? So I had to exit this. There was zero interest behind it. I didn't give a fuck about VWAP because, like we said, institutions trade in very large, very large orders around these psych levels, right? So there should be some seller interest if they want to see continuation off of AMD, right? We didn't see that, so it's just not, it's not realistic to really hold for it, right? So that trade right there, like I said, it was green a little bit. This may stop at BE already. Literally 4 minutes later, I said that. Only up 8%. I stopped at 1025. May look for a better entry. That's all that is. That's all I need to do, right? I didn't lose anything. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was just one of them trades that it just doesn't work out, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do, so I got out without paying for it. I think I didn't lose. So it's one skill you need to learn as a trader is to really react to what's happening and saying, hey, is this trade going to be correct or is it going to be wrong based off of volume, based off of reaction, based off of general sentiment of the markets? It didn't favor this trade, and that's why I said light size. Yes, I could have took my tiny little scalp, made, 100 bucks, but why? I'm not doing that. I think I was up like 130 bucks. Yes, I could have made 130 bucks in 2 minutes, but I'm looking for more of a more at a risk to reward standpoint rather than a small win, right? Next trade. SQ put 59 put 0.40. So SQ is a growth name that heavily correlates with ARKK. ARKK is the fund that SQ is in. SQ had extreme weakness off of this, and I trade this name a lot actually because this name is extremely lucrative with volatility and moves to the up and down side. I mean, you could see the intraday swings to the up and down side, right? Like we catch a huge bid off the morning, we catch a nice sell off. We catch a huge sell off the morning. We catch another huge sell off the morning. We catch another huge sell off the morning. I've noticed that the theme of the general stock was a green pre-market and then a sell off the morning. Uh, Green pre-market sell. Well, that's not necessarily green, but rising pre-market sell off the morning, sell off the morning, sell up. There's generally a big position unloading off the morning, right? So this has kind of been the theme for a while. Pop, sell off the morning, and what I was really just essentially eyeing up was that we talked about psych levels. I was eyeing up the $60 level. So I don't know why this is still on my chart, but this was a daily support at 61.55, right? We based under that yesterday. So this was yesterday's high, was right here. So one thing that I would really like to touch on, right, guys, is we gapped up, but we failed to gap up above the 61.55 level. So I automatically knew that this was obviously bound to really, really, really reject and probably come back down to test and grab liquidity off of this 60 or down here at this daily support level. So that's first, right? So this general range right here is going to be your daily support. Oh, right here. So that's 59 bucks, right? The $60 level is my trigger. So $60 level was actually yesterday's previous low day. So that's your trigger is right there. So we knew that that was like pretty much a last point of support before we would flush into something much further downwards. So another thing I would really like to touch on with this SQ trade is um, this was our next level of demand, of course, right? So I kind of expected us to test that range no matter what, especially if we lost previous low of the day. Um, and then here it is, right off the morning. We got the nasty sell off the morning. We got effort by bulls off of that $60 level. It failed to push through VWAP. VWAP brought this thing right back under for a lower high, shoved it right through 60. And then if you come back down to the lower time frames, you'll see how bidders were trying to build a position off of this $60 level, but there was just no gas in the tank. I mean, look at the effort made by bulls to push this up, and it was a general session of lower highs across the board. I mean, this is your lower high, this is your lower high, and this is your lower high. There was no volume on this. Um, there was no volume on this, and there was no volume on this. So is that an accumulation? Does that look accumulative? No, it does not. It actually looks very distributive that the moves down we're on a extremely higher volume in comparison to the moves up in the green healthier spread for the bulls, right? A bullish spread. That there was no volume behind the bullish spreads, right? And it actually died off as we got further and further down. So next thing that I really wanted to touch on was that we broke through. Bidders had their last bid sitting up below 60 bucks. Um, on the order book, they were not very strong, and you could actually see sellers ask, starting to pinch price below 60 bucks. That successfully did so, and we came back down and we tested this next level of demand. So it's almost like it's filling some imbalance until we test the next level of demand down here, right? We did so, and that was actually the perfect bounce point, right? So that's that was a clean trade for 70% gains. Um, I didn't like it because the general market showed strength, but at the same exact time, ARKK is the name for um, looking for like downside, right? So what we got into SQ at 1044, right? 1044 is right here. ARKK, what happened to it was it saw a nice move up. That nice move up was on, declining volume. It saw a nice move down, a pop off VWAP, and then from there on out, it was pretty much a shooting star. It broke below VWAP, it retested, it failed, right? So our next level that we were going to test on an intraday aspect was low of day. It was the low of day range where bidders were previously sitting on ARKK. This was this tied in nicely with SQ, as SQ is a very large holding in ARKK, and just this general growth theme really established, along with the ETF that it's in general growth as a whole, kind of established us like a nice setup in confluence across the market, right? So yeah, pretty, and then we'll go over Disney now. So this is my really dumb trade that I don't want you guys to really ever do, and I preach this to you guys, but I sometimes break my rules. I don't really, I mean, I'm good at what I do, and I I nail trades pretty much every day. Um, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with really saying that. It's not being cocky. It's just, sometimes you get a little bit too ahead of yourself and you take a trade and it's just not worth it. And that trade just ends up screwing you over, right? So, Eli, there was a couple of trades I discussed this morning. I discussed NVIDIA longs after it kind of swept liquidity off of these lows of getting out of this low of day from Wednesday, right? And it entered the gap. Gaps oftentimes seek liquidity rather than fill. Um, so there was obviously liquidity it was tending to seek down here, right? And then I was gonna long off of like a nice reclaim of this level, and then a bounce, a somewhat of a hammer candle, and then continuation into VWAP to fill some imbalance. That ran pretty decent. I didn't pull the trigger, right? So I was looking for a trade, and I was getting antsy to take something because I only took SQ for 70% on so far, or no, not 70%. I think it was like 60 at highs. Um, so mm, we go to Disney, right? Well, first of all, let's go to Spy. So Disney, I don't know. I was just feeling some gut type of fucking feeling, man. Um, First of all, let's touch on Spy. So Spy caught, a nice gap up due to earnings. Meta was up crazy today, and from there on out, I mean, it was pretty much. Sorry about that. So we caught a nice bid off. We caught a nice gap up in pre-market, right? Obviously, news was somewhere up here. News was actually resulted in a very extremely bullish engulfing, right? And then we started to bears try to step in off this pivot right here. Well, this was the first pivot, so this was a pivot from actually yesterday. So this is what I had from yesterday. This was your pivot. We got above that, we based above, and we ran. Uh, and then 408.50, we filled the general imbalance. We started getting into where supply was sitting from this prior sell-off that formed the imbalance. That filled. It got caught by a bid off of near VWAP pretty much with a hammer candle and some consolidation. Absorption happened down here. They sent it up, formed another huge imbalance. There was a big imbalance to the buy side. And then boom, they try to short it down again off of another range of supply, probably something that looks like this over here. You always got to look left, guys, because sometimes looking left will tell you the range in which, hey, this is leftover orders sitting in these ranges, right? You could obviously tell that this was a big SR flip and a big pivot for bulls that try to send this up about a point and 20 cents, and then it flushed down a point and 20 cents. It broke below that move up by bulls, and then they tried to retest this, and bears were sitting there defending that range, right? So we come over here. You're obviously going to see a negative reaction to that. We did see the next spread after that before the shooting star that was consisted of buy and sell volume. You saw full sell volume, but on lower volume, right? So it's essentially going to hold the SR flip. And this is whenever I was into Disney, right? So I said Disney is a really retarded trade, right? I said right here. I said Nvidia might be my last play for the day. Never got it. Disney's at a big spot as well. I was sure if this candle flips and turns into a potential reversal. I'm trying the 98, put 0.42 light. Strong, strong name. So this trade is a bit retarded, and that was literally 2 minutes after I got in. Like I knew I was being dumb, right? So this is a turtle. If SPY successfully holds its SR flip, I'll exit. Like I said, probably a stupid trade, right? So, I mean, like I talked about, guys, this is the SR flip right here. So we broke above this pivot at 408.50. We had a nasty bid, right? And then we ran into a shooting star that filled those orders. Buyers wanted to hold the lower or the higher low off of this SR flip, and then from there on out, you saw a very widespread low volume, which indicates a red flag for a reversal, and it's probably going to hold the SR flip. Even Eli was talking to me about this. So me, I got greedy because I hit nice on SQ, so I decided to hold, and then from there on out, SPY just ran right. So I mean, if you go to my trade, that was a um, and I even warned them. I said if SPY successfully holds this SR flip that I just talked about 408.50, this is gonna fall, right? So I mean that's exactly what happened. Uh, it obviously did that, and that was at 11:41. So if we go to 11:41, oh, we're on the 1 minute. If we go to 11:41, all right. So this is a little bit embarrassing to talk about, and it was pretty much just fully a gamble. Not gonna lie. I mean, we did have a confluence of this low of day from Monday that was a general pivot for bulls that held that. So betting on a stock that looked to go down that looks like this is just never good. Maybe seeing confirmation rather than me seeing a fucking like spinning topish candle up here off of that level is just really dumb. Um, so I mean, yeah, it definitely didn't look good, or it never got confirmation. Another thing that I saw was, I mean, our EMAs were just kind of sitting there when I got in. The 50 MA, the 9 EMA, and the 21 EMA. So I thought we would somehow see some continuation and a stuff of this, but really dumb trade in regards to fighting the trend. I fought the trend like a motherfucker. And then I pulled a fib from that high on the daily to the low that we just made, like impulse high to impulse low, and it did offer me a 618 short, and that's where I sized in more because I was really light size, right? So I dealt with the move up, and then I sized in more with the 618, and then it flushed down to here, and I got out, or I think I got out like over here, but still not a good trade. So it's not even about the dollar amount. I'm green on the day, but it's just the fact that that shit happened, and I decided to gamble, or I decided to, have a gut feeling about a trade whenever that shouldn't happen, right? You have to trade the chart in front of you, not what your brain is telling you. There might be a little voice in your brain sometimes that says, "Oh, do this, do that, do this," and then that's what kills you as a trader. You have to act like a robot. You have to trade robotic. So that's pretty much my trades for the day. I had a lot more ideas that I just didn't take, right? So I didn't want to chase this extremely overextended move. It seemed like, liquidity was definitely dying off for the buy side, and it was kind of just, rallying on volume that was really dried up, and it seemed like there was extremely low slow moves that it was a slow grind upwards until we got into certain breakout ranges like this gap fill, right? So and I'm not a big gap fill trader, right? I usually look for the bait of the gap fill, but I probably could have caught this. I wasn't even on my computer though, so not my type of day. But it's all good. Doing very well for the week. Looking to close out strong tomorrow. So that's SQ, that's Disney, that's AMD. AMD break even, SQ about 70%, I think, and then uh, Disney, I think I took. At one point, I was down like 7%. I got a little bit greedy and tried to actually make money, and that's another thing I want to touch on was don't try to make money on a trade that's like kind of like getting fucked on. Like if you get to a point where you're mitigating a lot of a big portion of your loss, just take it. So that would be it for the day. We'll recap tomorrow's and I'll post that and let you guys know how it goes. So that's it. I'll see you boys.